Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. This is day 2 of a 3 days training. The first one was last Friday, and this is session number 2. Session number 3 is going to be on Thursday. And what's the topic? We are talking about the 3 blocks of effective time management. Now, for any of you who don't know, my name is Mindy Burke. I am a career and life coach, and I help information technology professionals to create more time and space for the things that matter most. One of those things that frequently comes up with my clients is time management. And when I say time management, I use that term because that is the well-known term that many people use. But the first thing I want us to understand is that we don't manage time. Time cannot be managed. We manage our activities, okay? So we manage our activities within the time frame that we have. And I say we because I was in information technology for the last 12 years of my corporate career, but we often end up dealing with things like a work-life balance that feels a little out of whack, a little bit of stress, a little bit of procrastination, a little bit of burnout, and a lot of times those things get bad enough or we let them go long enough that they actually begin to affect our relationships, whether it's at home or whether it's in the workplace. And right now, I'm just going to say I hope that everything's coming through okay because my video looks like it's a little glitchy. So hopefully it's coming through smoothly to you and you can hear me. Okay, but anyway, that just wanted to put that as an aside. If you are watching and you can put a chat in the box just to let me know, a comment, just to let me know that you can hear me and everything's okay, that would be greatly appreciated. All right, so over the years, I have utilized in order to try to fix this part of me that my perception was I wasn't very good at managing my time or managing my activities. And truth be known, I probably wasn't, right? But over the years, I have tried so many different forms of time management. I've tried so many different things. And recently, I just started working with a new time management program. And I've really been finding it to be helpful. I've really been finding it to work well for me. And I simply put that out on Facebook a couple of weeks ago that I was really enjoying it. And one of my colleagues reached out to me and asked me about it. And she wanted to find out what I was doing. And she basically wanted me to give her the information that I had. So we decided to jump on a call. And when we got on the call, my first thought was that I didn't really want to just jump into like brain dumping all of the knowledge that I've gained onto her. I really wanted to understand why she felt like she was struggling in this area of time management, what she felt her challenges were. And it's not an much like many of my clients, when we talk about this, it's not about not knowing what to do, right? So many of us have the understanding, the intellectual understanding of what we need to do, right? We know what's on our to-do list. We know how much time is in a day or how much time we have to do it all in. We know how to take action to get it done. And quite frankly, I mean, many of us have read books. Many of us have been given information from either our boss or HR. Many of us have been to workshops or seminars on how to manage our activity more effectively in the time that we have. And some of those tactics, just to, if you're not aware of them, are things like turning off distractions, right? So if you are one of those people who have the notifications on in your email that every time you get an email message, a little message pops up at the bottom of your screen, turn that off. You don't need that. Matter of fact, if you're in an area or in a time frame where you really want to focus on getting a project done, close your email client altogether. Okay, turn off. I was looking for my phone, but it's not right here. But turn off all those notifications on your phone so it's not on your desk buzzing every 3 minutes, right? Okay, so turn off distractions. Create some boundaries for yourself. So if you're working on a project, if you're in a focus period and you have someone coming to you asking you for help, that creates a distraction and you have the ability to say, you know what, I want to help you. I'm going to help you, but right now I need to finish this. I'm working on this project. I will get back to you at 3 o'clock or whatever it is, okay? Because some of the things that we think I shouldn't say aren't necessarily true. A lot of things that we think aren't really true. We just see them as truth. But completing one thing, let's move into the next thing because that's kind of where I was going anyway. Completing one thing before you move into the next thing, okay? And multitasking is what I'm referring to here. I had a client or a colleague, I guess, back in when I was in corporate who really felt she was good at multitasking. And she was compared to many other people. However, there is research to indicate that when you get distracted, when you lose focus and go to work on something else and come back to what you were previously working on, it takes up to like 17 minutes for your brain to actually get refocused and get back to where you were. And that might sound like a huge area of time for those of you who really feel like you're good at multitasking, but think of everything that your brain has to go through when you switch gears, right? So I'm working on a project, I get interrupted, I go work on that, and I come back, and your brain has to go, okay, where was I? You have to scan through everything that you've already done. You have to think about, okay, what was my train of thought with where I was, and where do I proceed from here? So maybe you might not feel like it takes 17 minutes to do that, but it does take time for your brain to go through that whole process and really get back into focus to what you were working on. So completing one thing before you move on to the next thing is also one of those time management tactics. Putting things on the calendar. This is something that I resisted like with every fiber of my being for so long. But now that I'm doing it, there is great benefit to it. So maybe you haven't seen that yet. If you would like to talk about that or hear about that more, I am actually doing a full time management webinar in May that I welcome you to join me for. That's going to be part of the discussion that we work on there. And then the last time management tactic is just to take small steps every day. Now, we've been hearing about things like that for many years. I actually learned it from Jack Canfield, and he calls it the rule of 5, where you take 5 steps incrementally every day to complete your project or to reach your goal, whatever it is that you're working on. Okay? So the things that during this conversation with this colleague that we were talking about, the 3 things that came up for her as big struggles were right on par with what most of my clients end up presenting with as well. Okay, so out of that conversation, that's where this training came from. And again, the first topic was last Friday. And last Friday, we talked about the first block to effective time management is priorities, right? If I were to ask you, what are your top priorities? What are most important to you in your life right now? You could most likely give me a list of things, right? A lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times it's things like family, it's things like my health, my spiritual connection, or, something that has to do with belief or religion. A lot of times it is getting things done, or let me think, having the security and the safety of a roof over your head. There's a lot of things that we could list out that are highly important to us. However, when we take a look at how we're actually utilizing our time, doesn't always line up, does it? Right? We end up kind of living by default, living in a very reactionary mode, just kind of handling what's coming at us at any given time. Okay, so if you are interested in listening to that particular message on the first block of priorities, I invite you to go back through the Facebook feed on my page here at Mindy Burke. Actually, I think the actual page is called Belief Action Results. That's my business name. I invite you to go back and watch that video. It might be helpful for you if you feel like that priorities is something that you kind of struggle with. All right, that brings us to block number 2. And block number 2 from effective time management is procrastination. Okay? That might not be a surprise to many of you. Okay? Now, I've talked to a lot of people who, and I'm one of them, if I'm being really honest, right? We mentally beat ourselves up because we believe that procrastination means we're lazy or we're unmotivated. Okay, there's just something that we keep telling ourselves to do, but we keep putting it off and we just don't do it time and time and time again, right? Okay, so the first thing that when it comes to procrastination that we can look at is our habits. Okay, now you may have heard me talk in the past about how our brain is wired in such a way that anytime you want to step out and do something a little new, a little different, your brain, there's a part of your brain back here that wants to pull you backward into safety, into comfort, into efficiency. Okay? And there's actually a concept called cybernetics where it is both biological organisms and some machines that have a sensor within us, and we are part of this, that measures deviation from a set goal or an objective. And when we stray too far from that objective or that goal, these sensors signal feedback into a coordinating mechanism, our brain, which corrects the output or behavior. Now, what the heck does that mean? Let me give you two examples when it comes to machines, and maybe that'll be helpful for you. The first one is a thermostat, right? So imagine it's the middle of winter, so it's like 20 degrees outside, but you set your thermostat to be 70 degrees, okay? And then someone leaves the front door open. So the cold air starts rushing in, the warm air starts leaving, right? Those are the worst moments in my opinion. I love to be warm. And the temperature in the house starts dropping, okay? The thermostat picks up the deviation from the set goal, which is 70 degrees. It sends a message, it sends feedback to the furnace, and the furnace kicks on, brings heat, pushes heat into the house, and brings the temperature back up to 70 degrees. And then the thermostat says, okay, it's 70 degrees, we can shut off now. Okay? Same thing with an autopilot in an airplane. Okay? The pilot sets the coordinates of the destination, the place they want to land, and then the plane takes off. And when it gets knocked off course, the autopilot picks up the deviation from the set goal, the destination, and it adjusts the thrust, the flaps, and who knows what else in the airplane. I'm certainly not a pilot, so I don't know all the mechanics of it. But it brings that plane back on track to land at the destination that it wants, right? Okay, the same mechanism, the same coordinating feedback system, the same sensor is in us. Okay, and that is why most often when people go to lose weight, a lot of times we find it again, right? When we try to increase our sales or get better grades, we often end up back to where we were. And that's because in the process of setting that goal, of that new direction that we want to go, of whatever it is, that project that we want to complete, we never really change our brains or change our beliefs to coincide with that end goal. Okay? And doing it is totally possible, of course, because people do it, right? But it's really challenging. I have a mentor who actually refers to this time frame of trying to retrain your brain to think differently about yourself, to believe differently about what you're capable of. That time frame is called the river of misery. One of my other mentors calls it the terror barrier. Either way, it doesn't sound fun, right? Okay? It takes discipline, it takes dedication and perseverance to get through that natural resistance that your brain wants to offer to you. Okay. So with habits, obviously recognizing them is a huge step. So have you ever taken a moment to recognize and become aware of what your habits are? Both the ones that serve you, the ones that help you, and the ones that support you, and the ones that don't. Okay, I'm one of those people who procrastinate getting out of bed, right? It's been that way for as long as I can remember. The difference is I've made a lot of progress in that area. Okay, I used to hit snooze for 45 minutes every morning. And I'm to the point now where I'm down to about 10 minutes, but I've recognized that that 10 minutes allows me to kind of wake up slowly, and it allows me to kind of ease into my day. And I feel good about that 10 minutes. Okay. So it's totally different in my brain. Okay. All right. So the next thing that we want to talk about when it comes to procrastination is inner conflict. Okay, inner conflict often causes a lot of procrastination, okay? It shows up because there is a part of us that really wants to do whatever this thing is, but there's also a part of us that doesn't want to do it, okay? If you think about that, there's a part of you that wants to complete this project, but there's another part of you that is a little bit timid or afraid of the feedback that you're going to get, right? There's a part of you that wants to record a video, but there's a little piece of you that's afraid that your brain's gonna go blank, you're gonna mumble through it, you're gonna fall flat on your face, right? There's a part of you that wants to let him or her know how you feel, but there's another part of you that's deathly afraid that they're not gonna feel the same way or what they are gonna feel, right? There's a part of you that wants to try something new, but there's another part of you that's scared that there's an unknown, right? There's this fear of failure, of humiliation, of not knowing how to do whatever it is. And I find it in these moments or in these circumstances to write down 2 lists, okay? Why is it that you want to do these things? Okay? Maybe I'll free myself from having to worry about it all the time. I'll get a result that I can learn from, and from that place, I can inform my next step. I'll produce whatever it is, and I'll be proud of it. And I'll be able to get over it and finally move on with my life, right? Those are all the reasons I want to. Maybe the reasons I don't want to look something like I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I haven't done this before. It's not going to be good enough, right? And look at those 2 lists side by side. And often when we do that, we can see one list is much more compelling than the other list. Okay? One list often is very inspiring and the other list is often very fear-based. Now, not always, but whatever the reasons are that are on your 2 list, you get to decide which are the more compelling reasons to do or not do something. You get to decide if you're willing to risk or not risk. But from that place of being fully informed about why that you want to do it or don't want to do it, rather than getting stuck in the procrastination that you tell yourself you just have no control over it, right? You're just not inspired, and that's kind of outside of my realm of what I can control. Okay? And then the last thing that I want to share with regard to procrastination is this concept of have to versus choose to. And I hope you can still see this on the board. Yes. Okay. Choose to. Okay. This one is really beautiful if you think about it. Okay. So last week during the conversation that I was having with my colleague about her time management and what the challenges were for her, she was talking about something that she has to do. And I asked her, why do you have to do that? And she answered, well, I have to make money. And I said, well, do you? And she thought about it for just a moment. She said, well, I have to pay my bills. And I said, do you? And she looked at me with this really confused look on her face. And she sat there for, it felt like a long time. I'm sure it was less than a minute. But she felt there and paused for a while. And she said, well, I don't want to go to jail. Not that going to jail would be a result of not paying your bills, but that's where her brain went. And I think that's where a lot of our brains go. Maybe it was a thought of taxes or something like that. I don't know. But that's really where it got to. I don't want to go to prison. There was a particular consequence she was trying to avoid. And so she had to do, in her opinion, in her words, she had to do all these things. But I want you to understand, you don't have to do anything, okay? There's a reason that you want to do those things. You don't want to go to jail. You don't want to have late fees. You don't want to have to pay extra interest, right? There's a reason that you want to make money, okay? Which means whatever it was that she was avoiding, she actually wanted to do that, if you think about it. Let me give you another example. When I used to sit down to pay my bills, I used to think that was a very undesirable consequence. It was almost like a punishment for me. I wanted to hold on to the money that I have. It's mine. I earned it, right? And then I heard one of my teachers talk about this concept, and it changed everything for me. Now, when I sit down to pay my bills and I feel that little twinge of I don't want to let go of this money that I've earned, I step into gratitude. And the reason I do that is because I am so grateful that I have electric in my home to light my house in the dark. I have electric that allows me to cook my food and wash my dishes and keep my food cold so that it doesn't spoil, right? I have running water in my home that allows me to take hot showers. I love hot showers. And it allows me to wash my dishes. It allows me to flush away waste. It allows me all of these benefits. I have someone who picks up my trash at the front curb and takes care of everything for me when it comes to that. I have been able to purchase coaching programs that have helped me to grow as a person, to expand my business, to reach more people, to be more confident. Okay, all of these things are benefits of paying my bills. And so I love to pay my bills because I love all of the things that I receive in return. Have you ever noticed that when someone tells you that you have to do something, how your brain, there's a little voice in the back of your head that goes, you don't have to tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. I can do whatever I want. Okay? That same voice is in your brain when you say that you have to do something. Okay? Or you need to do something, or you should do something. Okay? So pay close attention to the verbiage that you use and the energy behind it. Okay, when you see that come up in you, take a moment to step back and tap into why do you want to do this thing, okay? Hopefully you find that helpful. So just a quick recap. If you want to overcome procrastination, you need to take a look at your habits, which ones are serving you and which ones aren't, okay? And changing habits is a whole thing in and of itself, and we'll talk about that. That's coming in June in my webinars. But then you also want to look at the inner conflict. Why do you want to do this thing versus why don't you? Get it out of your head and onto paper so that you can really see the differences. And which one's more compelling? Which one do you care more about? Which one do you want to abide by with your actual behavior? And the last one is to transition from have to, need to, should, into choose to, and I want to. Okay? So hopefully those 3 things are helpful for you. Take this information out into the world, make the best of it. If you are interested in diving more deeply into these concepts, I do have a couple of coaching slots open available right now. And I'm making a call to you if you are interested in learning a little bit more what it would look like to work with a coach. I invite you to contact me. We would just jump on the phone call and do a little exploration of where it is that you are now, where it is that you'd like to be. We'll dig into what is blocking you from getting there and just decide whether working together would be something that is beneficial or not for both of us, okay? All right. I hope you all have a fabulous day. Oh, by the way, if you are interested in that, don't think I said that part, you can reach out to me through private message here in Facebook, or you can email me at Mindy. Hopefully you can see that. Mindy at beliefactionresults.com. Okay, beliefactionresults.com. All right, hope you're having a fabulous day. Hope it continues to be fabulous. Go out there and make the best of the time that you have. All right, thanks for being here. Talk to you soon. Bye.